Hello everybody, welcome to Headteacher Challenge Week 2. The response to last week's challenge, our rainbows of hope and thank yous to key workers, was phenomenal. I literally had hundreds and I've replied to every single one that I've received on the email account. Thank you very much indeed. This week I'd like you to spend some time thinking about the older people in your family who probably don't live with you and are probably having quite a lonely time. This is my granny. I rang my mum, she doesn't live with me, just to check in with mum, check that she was okay, and she started talking to me about my granny, who during World War II was in the Women's Land Army. This is my granny's armband with her badges and her Women's Land Army paraphernalia on it. I'd like you to phone your relatives, whoever you'd like to, who's older than you, and find out something interesting about them. Plan some questions to ask them. Find about something you never knew. My mum started to tell me about my granddad, who met my granny when she was in the Women's Land Army and met a Czechoslovakian soldier who had lost one of his best friends in battle in 1941. My granddad struck up a friendship with this man, who was called Richard, and long after the war ended, he and my granddad corresponded. Here is a postcard from what is now the Czech Republic, sent to my granddad after the war. My mum was also able to push through my door some letters that my granddad had received from this Czech soldier, telling him all about in 1945 when they were advancing through France and moving nearer to the front line. Your first job is just to listen, to make the call and to listen. And that will mean a lot to people who are in isolation or unable to go out much at the moment. Then your second job is to decide what to do with what you've learned. It can be any response you like. One suggestion, if you want to freeze the frame here for the support, you could write a memory box piece, and you could simply recount all about the person you found out about, something that's of particular interest to you, and perhaps what that person means to you, if you knew them. Here's another suggestion. You could write a geography or a history-led account, or draw a picture of it. So my research enabled me to go and find out about the history of the Czech Republic, which was called Czechoslovakia in the World War II, occupied by the Nazis, later went under Soviet control, and that's quite interesting historically. Or you could perhaps find out something about the human or the physical geography of the region that you may find out about. Depends what people tell you. Another option is you could make a creative response. My granddad's friend was called Richard Bergman, and I could easily imagine some things about him, and I could imagine him meeting his new friend called Peter Williams, who was my granddad. Maybe you want to write a first-person narrative and have a bit of creative fun. Or perhaps a third-person narrative if you freeze the frame here. In wartime, the strangest people come together. So too did two young men, Richard and Peter, in Aldlam, Cheshire during 1942. It was an amazing friendship. And you could let your imagination run away with you. Or maybe you want to do a kind of artistic response. Here's my best drawing. Richard Bergman was billeted in a chateau in France. His letter details that. You could imagine it. You could Google and have a look at what places look like that you find out about, and you could draw one. I'm sorry, I'm such a bad drawer. Or any other response that you choose. It's completely up to you. Same email address, headteacher@stosmonds.dorset.sch.uk, and I'll be posting out Headteacher awards to those that impress me. Looking forward to it. This is due by Friday, the 24th of April. First week back, end of the first week back. Thank you everybody, Mrs. Sortel.